What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Colton Posey Fishing. Today we're going to talk about pre-spawn bass fishing post-frontal conditions. As you all know, most of the time when you're fishing tournaments, during your practice days, you're working with pre-frontal conditions or the conditions that are horrific. During the tournament, you usually deal with post-frontal conditions. That's just the way it works out. So, guys, hopefully this will be a lot of valuable information for you. Stay tuned. Buckle up. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is where the fish go. During practice, let's say you've got this set of bank where you caught a lot of decent fish during practice, and you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to start. What happens is when you go back during tournament day, I know y'all all had this happen. You fished it for 30, 40 minutes, no bite. So what typically happens during that situation, you've had a lot of other people behind you go down that bank and catch those same fish, and they get wore out. So what happens in a frontal condition? Let's say we had 70-degree days during practice, and then the night of the tournament it drops to like 40 something during the day. It's going to be the high. What do? What are the fish doing? Okay, so let's say your fish is in 4 foot of water on a stretch of riprap or chunk rock or slate rock, just some type of cover, okay? And you go down through there fishing the tournament, no bites. You're fishing in that same 4 foot of water, you back out like 5 foot, still no bites. What's happened? A lot of times what these fish will do, they'll run that ledge. I say the ledge. If you get what I mean, your contour lines are real tight down through there. So they're going to run that ledge like a highway, like they're going to a storm shelter, okay? And I'm with the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. We got to keep it simple. You keep it simple, you'll catch more fish, guarantee it. So they'll follow that ledge like a highway. They'll find the deepest part that they can right off the break of that ledge. They'll move out and suspend. So basically, to save you guys a lot of time, go down through that bank, and instead of fishing it, use them hummingbirds. Look, see if you see any fish in that area where you was catching them. If not, look on that contour map and see where the deepest part off that ledge is. Graph over it. I guarantee you'll find them. So that's the first thing that would happen in the post-frontal condition. Okay, so let's talk about the second thing. Let's talk about going up in creeks, creek arms. Let's say you've caught plenty of fish, close to the banks on cover and stuff like that in the creek arms. What happens when you go back? It's like they're ghosts. They're gone. You have no idea. What happens a lot of time, especially if you got soft bottom or hard bottom, either one, this applies to both, whether it's hard or soft bottom. We're just talking about that creek. It does not make a difference. These fish will move out, and instead of suspending, they'll put them bellies slap in the mud. How you know? Let's say you don't have a good depth finder, okay? Let's say that you just fish creeks all the time because you don't have good electronics or any electronics to go out and graph. If you throw out there, we've all done it by accident. You might have got a backlash or something. You feel that tick, 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 tick. You set the hook, you got a fish. Pull that fish up, doesn't really pay much attention to it. You look back at your buddy, you say, God almighty, that was luck. And then you go back to flipping up in the bushes and stuff. Pay attention anytime you catch these fish this time of year. Their bellies, if that sucker is muddy when it gets up in the boat or brown, that will tell you right away they've moved into the creek and they are laying flat on the bottom. So you can use several different types of baits to approach them. I'll go over some of that here pretty soon. So that's creeks. We'll go on to another little scenario here in just a second. Okay, guys, so the last thing we're going to talk about is what I talked about last week, secondary points. Very simple. A lot of people's going to be hitting secondary points. So You really got to pay attention to what's going on. So let's say you move up on that secondary point, you're making casts, stuff, you're not getting bit. A lot of times, I will back out as far as to the other side of the bank while I'm making casts in that direction. These fish, they want to get in the most stable water as they can possible. So they're going to move out and suspend in the most stable water. Now, when it warms up, when the sun's been out for a few hours and stuff like that, they're going to move up and feed eventually. I mean, there's no reason to, if you can't catch them while they're out there suspended in that creek channel, that you can't just go somewhere else, try to round up a few fish, and then come back later on. Eventually, they're going to eat. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So if you're fishing them secondary points and you're not getting bit, keep backing out further and further and further and further, and you will get bit. So let's move on to the baits and the equipment that I use to catch these fish. Okay, guys, so first we're going to talk about those suspended fish and how to catch them. So, you know, you'll be going over the graph, you see them pretty lines, you know there's tons of fish there suspended. So we've established that. You fire out with your plug, you make that cast, you reel it in several times, and nothing. One of the best ways is kind of odd because we use it a lot during the winter, but there's a lot of people that just let it go during the spring. That is a jigging spoon, okay? And the jigging spoons that I like to use, typically if the water's clear, you're already past those frontal conditions. This time the water's going to be muddy, typically, when I'm talking about this, okay? So I've got my, I use a 7-foot Duckett Green Ghost spinning rod. I want to get the fastest reel that I can, but I'm using a 7-foot medium heavy. I like that little bit of, you know, moderate action in the tip, but I want that stiff backbone where they can't just shake the jig loose, because this thing is heavy. I'm using like a 1.5 ounce. So when it's muddy, use white. That'll give a lot of contrast in the water where they can see it a lot better. So get right on top of them, drop on them, just jig this thing up and down like you'd work a football head or something during the summer. You'll catch a lot of fish off this. Okay, now, so we're going to talk about those fish that are 5 to 10 foot out. Let's say they're in grass or something like that. Typically, what I'm going to use that works great this time of year, especially when it's muddy, is a chatterbait. One of the keys to the chatterbait is that black blade, okay? See that black blade? I want that black blade. It makes the bait look a lot bigger than what it is. Typically, I throw a 3/8 ounce. I don't really go any heavier than that. I like the 3/8 ounce. Seem to get a lot more bites off of it. It's not too big, not too small. It's right in the middle. It's perfect for me. The rod that I like to use, this is the Daiwa Triad series, 7'4" heavy. Okay. The reason I'm using the heavy, typically when this bait gets hung up in grass, I'm going to be trying to rip it loose. Okay. That's the reason that I like the heavy action rod. These rods are really lightweight, so the heavy action and stuff like that, you can tell it's a lot thicker around the base. It doesn't really make a bit of difference as far as weight. You can still stay very, very comfortable with these rods. The reel that I like to use, I got my old Blues reel on here, but the typical reel that I prefer to use is the Daiwa Tatula or Fugo series. I want a high-speed reel. I don't mean like 8-1 to 1, 10-1 to 1, nothing like that. Your 7-4 to 1s, your 7-1 to 1s, that's plenty. I can slow it down, I can speed it up, I can do whatever I need to. So guys, as far as color, muddy water, I stick to my reds, I stick to my whites, and sometimes my blacks on them cloudy days. So the chatterbaits that I actually like to use, Booyah Melee vibrating jigs, and the jackhammers. Everybody knows what a jackhammer is. They're really expensive, but they catch fish hard to beat. So guys, that's your chatterbait. Okay guys, so last but definitely not least, we talked about this last week and it works in muddy water situations and it's freaking awesome. The lipless crankbaits, man. They are, you can do so much stuff with them. I mean, you can skip them, you can fish them at any depth you want. I mean, you take them through grass, wood, rocks, whatever you want. So, to catch some suspended fish with a lipless crankbait. Typically, I'm firing it out there and I'm slow rolling that sucker. I mean, slow rolling it as slow as I can. If I can make it tick whatever's on bottom, whether it's grass, rock, sand, mussel shells, whatever, that's what I'm throwing. So on the chatterbait, or not the chatterbait, I'm sorry, the lipless crankbait. Got chatterbait on my mind. I'm sorry, I'm no Ray Charles, but the rattle traps that I like to use, I like the Booyahs. This gold is perfect for the muddy water situations, especially the gold chrome. It sends a little bit of flash when it's sunny, kind of like your spinnerbait blades that are gold. It really makes a difference. I like using a bigger profile, so 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, something like that works perfect. The other colors that I like to throw this time of year, when the water's muddy, is the reds. So my boxes are up under there, but I'm just going to show you a color. That's typically the reds that I like to use. Blackback, just chili red crawl, something like that. The Strike King Red Eye Shad's good too. I mean, just most of them's good. I mean, you guys know what you use, what brands you're confident in. So, as far as my lipless crankbaits, I'm gonna go over my setup one more time in case somebody missed last week's episode. But I'm throwing a Duck It Green Ghost. This is a 7-foot medium moderate action rod. It's specifically made for cranking. I'm throwing a Daiwa Tatula series. This is a 6.4 to 1. Okay, so I want the sucker as slow as I can. That way, if I need to speed it up, all I gotta do is reel faster. If I want to slow it down, I just, reel it pretty normal. So, I mean, guys, like I say, I mean, just keep it real simple. I mean, you ain't got to get crazy with stuff. I mean, if you're a fish, what would you do? I mean, if you're out there suspended and snacks floating by your face, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to turn around and bite it, right? So, keep it simple out there, guys. If you have any questions, I mean, feel free to contact me. I will help you as much as I can. We can all learn from each other. That's the main thing, is out there learning, having fun, and catching fish. So, guys, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and share, or subscribe also. But all this stuff will be linked down in the description, so check it out. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook. We'll see y'all. My next tournament's February the 22nd. If you're up in Guntersville, swing by. We'll talk fishing. So, see y'all.